going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Josh Sanchez, for those of you who do not know me. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself, that way we're not complete strangers. I'm 21 years old. I was born in South America, came to the United States when I was 7 years old. I reside in New York, although the background that you're looking at right now, I'm currently in Miami, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm in Miami today and why I was in New York a couple of days back and why I actually traveled to Vegas, and I've been doing some pretty incredible things with my life that I actually couldn't do a year back from now. Pretty much me, coming from a background where I was pretty much struggling, a lot of you might be able to relate to this. I was actually working 2 part-time jobs for corporate America as a cook. Pretty much trying to make ends meet, struggling a lot of family problems. Unfortunately, we live in a time and era where money pretty much, it takes a lot of control of people's emotions. So in other words, if you're not financially stable, it affects who you are as a person. So if you're struggling with bills, it's going to alter who you are, how you feel, how you communicate with people, especially with your families. And that's the type of environment that I was living in about a year ago from now. And I just, it definitely, I felt some type of way about it. I knew that that's not what I wanted to see, not what I wanted to live for the rest of my life. So working 2 part-time jobs, also going to school, going to college. I had a big passion for computer development, computer programming at the time. Unfortunately for me, it got to a point where, as the bills were pretty much stacking upon me and taking out all these loans and just pretty much just putting myself in so much debt, I got to the point where I thought about, reevaluated my mindset, and I said to myself, you know what, I really don't want to be working for the next 20, 40, 50 years for another man or another woman, you know what I mean? So I knew that I wanted to do something great. I knew I wanted to be different. I knew that I wanted to, do the impossible, what people say the impossible, and pretty much what I decided to do, unfortunately though, because of my financial circumstances, I actually decided to drop out of college after my 2nd semester. Now, to this day, I'm not proud to say that, but what I'm trying to get to you guys to understand is the fact that, not everything is for everybody. Not the same things for everybody. Sometimes, people want to move with the masses, and that's completely fine, but what people don't understand is that, like I mentioned before, we live in a time and era where money pretty much controls everything. So if you're doing what the masses are doing, if you're following what everybody else is doing, you're pretty much going to have what they have. And the only way you're going to be able to live a prosperous life and do whatever you want, whenever you want, and pretty much, do the best for your family, give the best to your family, is by pretty much walking away from the masses and doing something that is going to pretty much get you to where you want to be in life. So that's pretty much the type of mindset that I developed. Once I dropped out of college, still working my 2 part-time jobs, I was looking for something that was going to work for me. Later on, I stumbled upon the industry of entrepreneurship, being your own boss, having your money working for you and everything, and to me, that sounded phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like, when I first got involved in the industry, I took my first baby steps. Unfortunately, I didn't have any guidance, I didn't have any mentors. I pretty much had to fail my way to success and do the things that I could do today. But as time progressed and I learned from my mistakes and I got connected with the right people, I learned that networks is everything. Like, it's all about who you know. Sometimes it's not about what you know, but who you know. And that's very important when it comes to, like, doing things that the average person can't do or living the type of lifestyle that average people can't live. So that's exactly what I did, is just surrounded myself with the right people, learn from the right people, I decided to become very coachable from the right mentors, and later on, I went from working these 2 part-time jobs, struggling in school, to, firing both of my bosses, and now pretty much just doing what I can, doing whatever I want. And I don't say this to pretty much impress you, but I say this to impress upon you. I'm 21 years old. I'm just an average guy. I'm a regular guy. The only thing that I feel makes me different than everybody else that's down there is the fact that I knew that what everyone else was doing, I did not want to do that for the rest of my life, because I knew where I would end up. I knew the type of lifestyle my parents were going to live. Like, for me, I wanted to do the impossible, like I mentioned before. Like, I wanted to pretty much, I wanted to purchase my mom a house. I wanted to, take my parents to traveling with me. I wanted to do things like this that I could not do on a regular basis. I mean, look at this view. This isn't something you could wake up to every single day. Really, like, So when you think about it, it's either you do something different for yourself to benefit yourself, to definitely, do something different in the world, to just be whoever you want to be, do what you love to do. And it's either that, or it's just, settle for the ordinary. And if you settle for the ordinary, you're going to live an ordinary life. But if you settle for adventurous, if you settle for spontaneity, then you're going to have a spontaneous life, a life of adventure, a life of no limitations whatsoever. Nobody telling you, you know, you have to wake up at 6 in the morning, go to work. You know, it doesn't matter how much hours you put into your job, you're still gonna make $8 an hour or minimum wage, you know, whatever minimum wage is nowadays. You know, you're limited. Society is limited to what you can do, what you can accomplish, how much you can make, and that to me is not fair, because I know that there's somebody out there who works harder than what they're getting paid right now, and to me it hurts. It really does. I feel like it's not fair. It's not the way society's supposed to live. So in order to change that, you know, the world is constantly shifting, but what's going on is that the minds of the of society is just pretty much staying back in the industrial era where we're just like, you know, we have to continue to work to live, continue to work to live, continue to work and work and work for a paycheck. If you don't exchange a lot of your time, you won't receive a small paycheck. Now, let me ask you this.